Breaking talent. Break London.
Darkness, but you were my star. I feel like a king when I'm in your arms, and I ain't going nowhere.
Hi and welcome to Break London TV. My name is Vishali Bardwaj and I am here at the Grange Hotel in London to speak with the incredibly talented Arjun. The London-based singer, songwriter and producer is here at Club 10 in St Paul's to perform to the hundreds of people expected here tonight. So let's get going.
This was a time when music was life. The rhythm and the bass made me feel so.
Hello and welcome, Arjun. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me on Break London TV. Now you're here at Club 10 ahead of a gig in a few hours' time. What's coming up from you in the immediate future? I know you got a new single called Take It Back coming out. When is that out?
Yeah, so that song is what I'm really passionate about actually. That song is basically, it's about kind of bringing back 90s R&B, which is what I really believe in, because currently I'm a bit bored of the whole kind of dance house thing. You know, it's been great for a while, but I want to see that R&B come back. So this song is actually about bringing back that sound. For me, like that's my kind of my mainstream focus at the moment. We're kind of hoping to release an album of Asian reworks as well. So I'm working on two albums, one completely mainstream pop R&B album, one kind of Asian album as well. So that will be coming out hopefully end of the year. Fingers crossed. And then yeah, I'm going to be touring a lot as well, and then working towards releasing my first mainstream single in probably December.
Now, Arjun, you were nominated for Best Newcomer at the Brit Asian Music Awards in 2011. What emotions did you go through when you found out that you'd been nominated?
It was awesome. I mean, for me, up to that point, it was mostly kind of the fans that was supporting me. At that point, I kind of realised that the industry was behind me as well. It was nice to have, you know, that notch on your belt. To me, awards they don't mean everything, but I mean, it's nice to have something, you know, just to, you know, show what you've done in that year. So for me, actually, this year I'm up for Best Urban Act as well at the Asian Awards again. So it's amazing. Just, I mean, it's nice to feel recognised by the industry for sure.
And you were recently chosen as one of MTV's top 20 unsigned acts for 2012. You are an independent artist, if I'm not mistaken. What challenges does that pose, or what positives does it bring being an independent artist?
Do you know what? I've realised that actually it's great in a way, because I have complete control over whatever I'm doing. So everything I do, every release that I have is controlled by me, it's governed by me, everything is done on my terms. So I haven't had to compromise on my sound, my image. You know, I am who I am, which is great. I mean, in the Asian industry, to be honest with you, I think you can get by purely using things like, you know, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Honestly, that is my hub. That's like my kind of control center for me. I don't think you need to have a label anymore in the Asian scene. The whole world has changed. You know, I mean, the whole model has changed. Record labels are still very, very powerful, and obviously mainstream labels like the big, you know, the Sonys and the Universals are really, really, really powerful in the mainstream industry. But that's kind of the next step for me. I think the next step is to try and use what I've built up in the Asian scene and try and kind of penetrate the mainstream market. And
in terms of looking at the long-term future, now what is your ambition for the long-term future? What do you want to achieve in your career, and where can you see yourself, for example, in 10 years' time?
Well, you know, hopefully, I mean, my aim is to be involved in the industry in some way. So I mean, the next 3-4 years, I'm going to focus on the artist side of things. You know, try and be a singer. I'm going to also do production work at the same time. Hopefully by the time I kind of get to a certain stage, I'll be able to start my own label, my own production company, and kind of help other artists come through. You know, do something like a bit like what something like Timbaland does. You have a bit of a camp behind me. And then yeah, I want to get into film music. I want to get into, you know, just generally everything to do with music that I can get into for sure. So, but it will definitely be something music related.
What's it like being a supporting act for US superstars Jagged Edge and Blackstreet while they were here on their UK tour? I mean, what did you learn from the experience, and did they give you any tips from when you were there with them?
Do you know what? That was about 5 years ago. That was my first kind of big break, really. For me, it was amazing because I grew up, you know, that music, the kind of like 90s R&B is what I grew up. I grew up loving that stuff, and to be like on the same stage as my heroes, pretty much, was amazing. I was just in awe. I didn't speak to them at all. I was just like, oh my god. So for me, that was an amazing experience. I learned a lot vocally. I mean, vocally, I'm very inspired by people like Jagged Edge, you know, Genuine, 112, Donell Jones, Craig David. That kind of era really has influenced my music and my sound a lot. So it was amazing. Yeah.
Now your music, it does certainly seem to have an R&B and a pop feel. What genre would you classify yourself in, or would you not box yourself into any genre particularly?
So you know what? It used to be R&B pop. I've kind of more recently got more involved in the kind of Asian fusion thing as well. So for me, it's kind of, I guess, what I've been working on recently is a series of reworks of Bollywood and Hindi tracks. So kind of, I guess it's R&B fusion, Asian. You know, I guess it floats between different genres like Desi, R&B, pop.
You mentioned it before that you've been nominated for Best Urban Act at the upcoming Asian Music Awards. If you're looking back at your career so far, what's been your greatest achievement just, you know, in the last couple of years?
It's hard to pick one, you know. I mean, I'll give you a couple. For me, like recently, actually, because I'm a massive fan of cricket, I was actually picked to do the official World Cup song for the World T20 happening right now in Sri Lanka. So that was amazing for me because that's my two biggest passions, music and cricket combined. That was amazing for me. But I guess the one big song that really kind of blew me up was my remix of Why This Colour Very D. That kind of was what changed my life really. So that song, it got about 1 million views in a week. It's about 7.5 million views now. So that kind of was my biggest kind of success to date, and that's what's enabled me to travel the world really. So that song I think is the main thing.
Now you mentioned YouTube. Your songs have been a huge success, and you can just see that on YouTube. I mean, your song Kabhi Kabhi featuring Shivali and Natasha, that's had over 2 million hits, and Chamak Chalo, the R&B remix, has had over 1 million hits, and you know your video Vampire was played on Kiss TV as well. If you had to choose one of your songs, which would you say is your favourite and why?
I have a song called Stargazer, which I think is the most accurate kind of depiction of what I'm like as a person. It really kind of puts across, you know, my sound and what I believe in and that kind of my vibe. So I think that song, I mean, it's very guitar-y, it's very Craig David. It sounds a bit dated actually, it sounds a bit old school, but it has that kind of really guitar-driven, organic sound. I think that's what I'm about. So that song.
I have to say that's one of my favourite songs as well. It's a great song. But what's your favourite song at the moment in the charts? What's on your iPod at the moment?
You know, I'm loving like the UK kind of R&B, the kind of pop scene here. People like Ed Sheeran, people like Labyrinth, Jessie J. There's a lot happening in the UK. I feel like the UK is making moves, and all these kind of boy bands are breaking US, like the One Direction and the Wanted and stuff. So I think the UK is very strong right now. So for me, like I actually used to listen to just complete US music, but now lots of it is UK music. People like Ed Sheeran for sure is amazing. Who else? Let me think. Chris Brown also from the US is amazing. I think he's my favourite artist right now for sure.
You mentioned it before about producing. You know, you've produced music before for artists of all genres. I mean, that includes a Hindi album, the Bhajan Project by Shivali, which I saw reach number 10 in the iTunes World Music Chart, was nominated for several awards. Has that been an important aspect for you? You know, being really hands-on with your music, being able to produce and sing, and being able to control the direction of your work?
For me, it's very important. I think that's a very good point. Production has always been my main passion. Like when I got into music, it was first and foremost as a producer, as a musician, as a singer second. So for me, like the real fun I have is in the studio, just making beats, you know, creating music with other artists. For me, like hopefully my long-term kind of career will be in production. This is a short-term thing, you know, singing. When I'm like 15, I was going to want to see me singing. So for me, like production has always been great. And you're right, the fact that I can dictate my own sound is important, because if I had to, you know, constantly rely on someone else to kind of make beats for me, it would slow me down, and B, it would change my direction a lot.
Where can our viewers and listeners on Break London find out more about your work?
I'm glad you asked. So come find me online. It's facebook.com/Arjun Music, twitter.com/Arjun Artist, youtube.com/Arjun Koom, to be confusing, and arjunofficial.com. So those are my main sites. So come and find me online.
Well, thank you, Arjun, for taking the time to speak with me on Break London TV. It's been a pleasure, and I wish you all the best of luck for tonight's gig and the rest of 2012.
Thank you very, very much. Thanks for having me.
Well, that's it from me, Vishali Bardwaj, here at the Grange Hotel in London. I hope you've enjoyed my interview with Arjun. And remember, you'll be able to listen back to this interview on Break London Radio by going to breaklondon.co.uk. For now, though, it's goodbye from me.
Wanna be a better man, but will you stick around while the dream is still a plan? And I don't wanna fight with you speaking to your hand. I wanna spend my life with you. We could be a brand like Russell and Katie, but it's difficult because you ain't been trusting me lately. And I'm stuck in the basement, haven't shaved for a week, and I ain't got the finer things yet. I'm still trying to make ends meet, but if you're here with me, I know I'll be okay. Tomorrow is a promise, so I'm treasuring today. See my name up in lights in the future award shows, thanking my parents for raising me right. And I could act a fool and not be such a nice guy. I tried and I failed.
Breaking talent. Break London.